welcome back to Gridiron Gamble, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by the entire collective, The Disciple, Brett Colson, who's once again deaf, Donnie DP Peters, and the resident moose himself, Mo Noir. I don't know why. Another road game for me. I'm back in the United States, but I'm on the West Coast here in the LBC in a beautiful sunroom at my friend's house here in Long Beach. But yeah, for some reason, the mixer sound that is going into Riverside is incredibly loud. No matter how low I turn the faders on my mixer, no matter how low I turn the little fader here on Riverside, Brett's ears are bleeding when voices...
No matter how low I turn my volume down, it's just loud.
Chris is concerned for the future of this podcast. He thinks you're sinking us on purpose.
No, the people will never hear how poor this is, because if you check the podcast last week or on YouTube, like, subscribe, or on your favorite podcatcher of choice, 5 stars only. Like, I'm pulling a rabbit out of the hat for this game. Amari Cooper? 5-star AF?
Like Amari was probably 5.
But he's not playing, so it doesn't count.
When in doubt, go to Bama. Oh, he's not playing? Doesn't matter. Jets getting absolutely blanked. Defensive score, fumbling kickoffs. I mean, it's just so infuriating that this team won last week. Blowing the tank. Joke of a team, joke of a franchise. Absolutely hate every single one of them. I do not hate the collective, however, who were 4-1 in the contest last week. Back on the schneid. Brett was 4-1. Mo and I were 3-2. And I think DP was 1-4 on the week. And we trudge on into week 17, which features even more quarterback changes across the National Football League, but not in our first game, which leads off our split game segment where there's 2 hosts on one side and 2 hosts on the other. And it's the New Orleans Saints traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. I'm seeing 3 everywhere on planet Earth, except for Circa, who is hanging 2.5, I guess, predicting a move in this game. As I look across the board, though, I'm the only one with a strong opinion on the Bucs taking this half point of value. And it's not something we love to do. I can already see Brett shaking his head. We don't like to buy a team that is coming off of all these wins stacked up, but this is passing attack at home against a Saints offense that continues to be, I guess, Jekyll and Hyde. But even when which one's good in that combination, Jekyll and Hyde? Which one was the good guy? Which one was the bad guy?
Jekyll's the good guy.
Yeah, okay. Even when they're Jekyll, they're not world beaters, right? Even when the Saints are operating as intended. So I'm taking the line value here. I had this right outside my top 5 bubbling. But I think if by the time people are submitting their selections, this might reflect what the market is actually going to say, because Benson and the crew at Circa are quite sharp. So that wouldn't surprise me. But for the time being, I will take the line value. Mo is taking the line value as well, but no confidence points from Mr. Noir.
Amari Cooper confirmed 4-star, by the way.
Ooh.
Miles Garrett.
Oh, Miles.
5-star.
There it is.
Yeah, this one I just thought was, it probably should be 3 to me. So I'm going to take the line value, but I'm not like super excited about it, because you could tell me that I'm wrong and I would probably say that could be fine. So I got nothing on this one really, other than it's 2 coaches that I hate to back, honestly. So it's a spot where I don't want either one to have my money. So even though I kind of think it should be Bucs 2.5, I still, or Bucs 3 rather, I still don't know if I would bet 2.5 just because of these coaches. And dude, honestly, this could be a negative motivation spot for the Bucs, unless the New York Times calculator is completely broken. They can actually lose this week, and it's irrelevant as long as they beat the Panthers next week. And you have Saints fighting for their season, so I'm just like, whatever. I'm just staying away from this.
DP, you have the highest... Oh, go for it.
Way There's no way there's no motivation for the Bucks in this game.
Yeah, definitely Bowles is not going into this game. Bowles is not reading the New York Times probability calculator. He probably has no idea what that even is. So Bowles is going to go out there and try to get the dub for Tampa. DP, you're the highest on the Saints. Put a pin on this contest.
Well, I'm going to make a lot of things very quick and easy for you guys. I just tried to go the same as last week and pretty much pick leverage. Wherever I think leverage is. We went 4-1 last week, so I ain't changing shit on my end, okay?
Fair enough.
That's how I'm approaching this week. So, yeah, I think there's going to be some leverage on the Saints here. So I picked the Saints. Let's go.
We move to Seattle, where the Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And nobody on the panel has a very strong opinion on this game. In fact, looking across the board, Mo, you have the strongest opinion, laying the 3.5 with the Seattle Seahawks.
I don't have too much on this one either. Another low opinion for me, another one that's in coin flip territory for me. Only thing I'm really looking at here that makes me kind of lean towards Seattle is multiple backup safeties in for the Steelers. And you have a spot where it is an offense in Seattle that will throw downfield with dangerous receivers. Although somebody just texted me that DK Metcalf might not play. So did not factor that one into my capping. So that could be Tinker season there. But yeah, that was the only thing that made me sort of lean Seattle is not a spot where you want backup safeties. And also just a much different situation for a backup quarterback playing on the road here than at home. And in a tough place to play, rainy, I don't know, just a different situation than last week where I felt pretty decent about Mason Rudolph against a terrible defense at home.
Brett, you and Donnie have the highest opinion on, the only opinion on the Steelers, but you have an equal opinion in your rankings, but top 5 is kind of a swoon for you, so you can put a pin on the Steelers side of this conversation.
Well, I don't love it. A week after Mason Rudolph got us an easy cover, now going on the road, like Mo said, in a tough environment. But I look at these two teams, I don't have them rated all that differently. So I'm going to take the hook, the 3.5, and just hope this is a low-scoring football game.
We move on to the city of brotherly love, where the Eagles play host to a fellow bird team, the Arizona Cardinals. Brett, you don't have to cover yours, so I'm not going to blow them out. The Eagles are 10.5-point favorites in the contest. This opened 11.5, opened 11.5. I'm seeing 11 now. So there's some steady action in favor of Arizona. And I really don't know why, because I want to absolutely love the Eagles in this spot. This just feels like trenches, bully ball, don't have to do much. Rule of Wisconsin, trying to bleed the clock away, and you still end up scoring 30, 40 points and covering by margin. That being said, I couldn't work Philadelphia very high in my rankings because their offense has just been so lackluster and uninspiring throughout the season. But just on its surface, when I was looking at this game, I kept trying to find reasons to shoehorn the Eagles a little bit higher. So maybe you guys out there in your own betting ventures, maybe this is a spot where you might actually look to lay the points. But yeah, I just couldn't get it higher. Mo, you have the Eagles as well, but it's your very last pick. So I'll go to DP once again. Once again, it's DP and Brett on the other side. Once again, they have it at the exact same spot. Nobody had very much conviction on any of these split games. So DP, give us your opinion on Arizona, and let's get the hell out of the split game segment.
Well, I don't know why you keep going to me. I'm just going to tell you I think this is where the leverage is. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, I mean,
I think people are just going to look at the Eagles and be like, yeah, they're just going to run over the stupid Cardinals. And for that reason, I'm going to take the other side for the contest play. But, in theory, I kind of agree with you. This is just trenches. They should just, run over this team pretty easily.
Especially if this Kyler Murray mudbutt thing is real. He hasn't practiced yet this week. So that would put I can't even remember, the big white dude that they still bring in for tush pushes. Something Looney Tunes. That's right. Go ahead, Brett.
I was going to say, I can't lay points with this Eagles team right now. Not this many points. Like, as bad as the Cardinals are, the Eagles have, I mean, their two most important players on offense are limping around. Hurts, A.J. Brown, clearly neither one of them is anywhere near 100%. And the Eagles secondary is a disaster. So if Kyler Murray does play, you've got a quarterback who can manufacture yards in multiple ways. This could just mirror last week where the Eagles jump out to an early lead and not hold off the Cardinals like they couldn't hold off the Giants last week because this defense can't stop anybody through the air. So I kind of like the Cardinals in this spot if Kyler plays.
The only caveat there is that was to God and Dayball, and this is potentially Looney Tunes and.
Well, yeah, if it's Clayton Tune, then I'm not touching it. That's a clear Eagles play, obviously.
All right, a very uninspiring split game segment, but strap in because we're entering a Lone Wolf segment where every single host has a Lone Wolf in their top 5. The Lone Wolves. Brett last week put a Lone Wolf on the card. He's back at it again this week with 2 Lone Wolves at the top of his rankings. I'm not going to spoil which is which. I'll just give you them both, and then we'll tackle them from there. We'll start alphabetically with the teams that you've selected, and that is the Chicago Bears, -3 at home against the Atlanta Falcons. It is the rule of Brett in 2023. Flip-flop every week with Atlanta.
That's exactly what it is. You know what this is. You fire Atlanta at home and you fade them on the road. But this is also a bet on the Bears. Like, I think this should be -3.5 for Chicago. This is a better football team that's playing great ball right now. And really, since Montez Sweat got his feet under him in this defense, it's been a different unit. Like, since week 10, this defense is second in EPA per play allowed. They've been dominant against the run. That doesn't set up well for the Falcons, who struggle to move the ball through the air. Everything's on the ground. I don't know. It's disappointing that the Bears are on the outside looking in the NFC playoff race right now, because I think this is a fun team. Definitely a top 7 team in the NFC right now. And I think would be a real joy to watch in January. But really, this is obviously just, again, flip-flopping with the Falcons when they're on the road against I still think Chicago is undervalued in the market here. I think this should be 3.5.
The Fields bit is just so fascinating to me because just from a team building perspective, I don't know how you can pass up on taking a quarterback because of the contract value of having that position. But the way this dude is playing, like, what if you paired him with Marvin Harrison? Like, that is very intriguing. But then you just come right back to the contract value is so enormous in taking one of these quarterbacks. Can you really pass on them? Let me look across the board as my tablet is just screwing up over here. Did anybody have a strong opinion on those pesky Atlanta Falcons? Anybody?
I mean, I had them in my top 5.
Go for it, DP.
I mean, I had them in my top 5. Again, leverage. All the reasons that Brett said. Like, I personally think like the Bears are a bit of a darling within the market for these past couple weeks. Like, I feel like people want to bet on them. I feel like they like them. And then I also think that combined with the narrative of the Falcons on the road, the Falcons outside, blah, blah, blah. Like, so everyone's just going to be piling on the Bears. I think this is going to be a pretty big leverage spot overall. So for me, in leverage season, I'm taking the Falcons and I'm taking them high.
Yeah. Mo had the Falcons 4 out of 15. I had the Falcons below the fold. So we'll move to Brett's next lone wolf, and that is the Cowboys, another home favorite, laying 5 points against the Detroit Lions. I have a strong opinion on the other side, so I'm very looking forward to hearing what Brett has to say here.
Yeah, I really like Dallas here, if only for the motivational factors. Like the Lions coming off an emotional win over Minnesota last week. They clinched that division for the first time in 300 years. And then Dallas, meanwhile, in a vulnerable spot. I mean, they're playing for their own division and returning home where they average 40 points a game. They're 7-0 at home this year. This is a different football team in that stadium. We've seen the Lions take a giant dump on the field against good teams already this year. This just feels to me like another spot where they might not show up on the road against a good team. So I like Dallas. I like Dallas as high as 5.5, maybe even 6. I think Dallas could just run away with this game.
I lied. I thought I had a high opinion, but I have them bubbling. Mo and DP both have the Lions in their top 5. DP, you have them higher. So talk about Detroit Motor City.
I mean, I personally think these teams are like the same. So I like, you know, I mean, they're not the same exactly. Like they play different styles and whatever, but like I put them in the same level. Like I don't see why Dallas is a 5-point favorite here. I think that's kind of crazy. I think this should be like 2.5. And I also feel like everyone loves the Cowboys this week. Like they're like bounce back. They're going to shred this secondary, blah, blah, blah. Why can't Detroit just score? I mean, this Cowboys defense to me, listen, maybe I'm just completely wrong, but I feel like I watch them every single week. And other than like the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, I don't really see the same thing that I've seen. Like, I just don't see it. Like, I mean, Micah Parsons is obviously great, but he gets doubled a lot. Detroit has a good offensive line that can protect Goff, and if they get the running game going and move the ball, I think Detroit is going to be plenty fine here. And I don't ever think a Dan Campbell team is going to just fall asleep. Yeah, they won the division last week, but like I don't think they're going to ever just like go out there and not play their asses off. That's not in their DNA. It's just not happening. Like, so I don't know. I feel like this one should be 2.5, honestly. And then I also think that while I think that people are going to be on the Cowboys here, so I'm going to get a little bit of leverage, which is kind of crazy to me in my own mind.
I thought Dan Campbell teams didn't sleep either, but then they went into a Rip Van Winkle slumber during that Baltimore game. Mo, Lions,
yeah, one
top
game,
5.
big deal.
Pile on.
Well, you have a Dallas team that, guys, they can't stop Buffalo from running straight. How the hell are they going to stop the Lions from running straight? Unless Dallas goes up double digits in the first half, I think this is just going to be score for score. 2 offenses that are going to be moving the ball at will. I mean, I know Detroit's secondary probably is going to have a hard time holding up against Dallas, but everything Brett said about Dallas being at home applies to Detroit too. This team struggles on the road, and they get to play in a dome in their comfort zone here. So Jared Goff can move the ball behind a really strong offensive line that should give him protection. And you have a Dallas defense that plays more man than almost everybody. And we've seen Goff struggle against zone defenses multiple times. And he should have some open guys that he can just fling it to that are, especially Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know how they're going to cover Amon-Ra, dude. He is going to be open.
The new
a lot
Cooper Cups, slot merchant, numero
slot
uno.
merchant versus a Dallas team that can't cover anybody in the slot. So, yeah, I just think this is score for score, and I think the Detroit team is right. 6 was way too high for me. I'm not as crazy as Donnie saying this should be under a field goal, but 5.5, I still think there's room for value on the Lions.
Mo hinted at one of the things I was going to say. High total in this game. If you're going to bet the Lions, might as well just sprinkle the money bet line. Cha-ching. And the other thing is, this game I close my eyes and I just see the Seahawks game. I see teams, the Bills, as Mo alluded to. Teams are just marching on the Cowboys right now. This isn't early in the season against the Giants or the Jets or the Cardinals. The Cardinals who actually shredded them with Spaceman Josh Dobbs. This team is giving up chunks of yards. So this number definitely clocks in a little bit too high. But for your real betting ventures out there, might as well just grab the Lions on the money line if you're interested in that side. Brett's last lone wolf, Ravens -3 against the Dolphins, taking the team that looked the best last week.
This was my 2-pointer. I thought this line was totally fair. I have no take on this game, so I will let you guys carry it.
DP has the greatest football team in his top 5. Take it away.
I mean, I'm just going to sell the Ravens off that win last week. I mean, they went into San Francisco and beat what everyone says is the best team in football. I mean, I already think the Ravens are a little bit overvalued in general. I mean, I think they're a very good football team, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, I do think they also have their weaknesses, and I think there's going to be some spots to certainly bet against them come playoff time, you know. So I don't know. I think this Miami team is pretty solid overall. So I'm just going to sell some of this Ravens stock. I'm not just going to dump the entire stock, but I'm going to, take a little bit off the top, take some profit coming off that blowout win last week, again against the 49ers and see what the Dolphins can do here, getting a full field goal.
If I was in the free state of Florida, I would be pretty pissed that I wasn't able to get more than a field goal in this spot coming off of that win by the Ravens, because I thought that would move the market more than it has, but unfortunately it hasn't. And that's ultimately why I don't have much confidence in Miami in this spot, but I definitely do see it as a sell high spot for the Ravens, and a Dolphins team I continue to just be generally bullish about because the market is not showing them the same amount of love as pretty much every other tier 2 team in football is getting more love than the Miami Dolphins. All right, we move on to, let's go to my sole lone wolf. And I've got the Raiders plus 3.5 at Indianapolis. Yeah, I don't love buying this Raiders team off of all of the steam, all the Antonio Pierce. People out here saying that Antonio Pierce should be made the permanent head coach. I mean, guys, it's been a great story. Last week was a legitimate win against the Kansas City Chiefs, but we're talking about wins against the Jets, the Giants, the Vikings without Kirk Cousins, the zombie Chargers who are about to fire Brandon Staley. Like, let's hold our horses a bit here. Should Antonio Pierce probably parlay this into a coordinator position? Maybe even like a head coaching assistant position? Perhaps. But the outright HC?
He's going to be the head coach.
It's the most Raiders thing.
There is no dumber organization than the Raiders.
It's definitely
they are 100% going to make him the head coach.
It's the most Raiders thing that they can do. So he will get a 7-year contract as soon as the season ends. But I just, on principle, cannot lay 3.5 points with Gardner Minshew in pro football. Can't do it. That's just a principled stand, a line with which I am unwilling to cross. Looking across the board, there is some legitimate love for the Colts, but nothing too outrageous. DP are the highest with them bubbling your top 5.
Well, isn't everyone just going to click the Raiders after what they did last week? I mean, I feel like a lot of people kind of hate the Colts, think that it's, they're really overrated. They don't like their defense because they don't get a lot of pressure. They don't like the quarterback or the offensive weapons. They just don't have much, and it's really just Shane Steichen, doing the damn thing with this stupid team that he has. But the Raiders just beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I mean, how are people not going to be backing them?
I'm seeing 64% on the Colts. I don't know. People love Gardner Minshew.
That's the weird ticket count, though.
Gardner Minshew, man.
I understand. And maybe that's just the weird ticket count that you're seeing. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm here in Las Vegas and I'm hearing all the Raiders nonsense in my ear 24/7 and I can't take it. Either way, I hate the Colts just as much as anyone. I can't stand this stupid team. But I feel like more people, for me personally, in leverage season are going to be on the Raiders here. So I'm going to take the other side and lay the hook, whatever. Let's go.
People might just be tailing the steam on that too. Like, Indy got hit pretty hard, I think, yesterday. So they were -3 across the board. It might be a bunch of people just seeing sharps are on Indy. I'm on Indy too.
Yeah. I saw Indy.
Fade the Raiders.
I saw Indy 2.5 on influential offshore books. I think maybe 36 hours ago. I don't know. I was on a plane for 14 hours today from Australia. So
the Pittman news is big because that's a huge addition back to that offense. They lacked any consistency last week without him. So that's probably one reason for this move.
All right, we'll move to DP, who's got a trio of lone wolves. First is his last pick in his top 5. And this one's confusing to me because you're talking leverage. And all I'm hearing this week is a steady drumbeat for one CJ Stroud returning at quarterback for the Houston Texans. And you're laying the 5.5 with Houston.
Yeah, because I see the line is 4 and 4.5 in real life. So if that's happening, well, okay, I'll just auto-click the other side. I know those points are less meaningful, but still, I feel like these people in the contest, a lot of them just hunt that line value. If you look at the top I don't know, 100 picks or 100 contestants usually, a ton of them literally just take the best line value. And it's like not even like it's like the dumbest thing in the world because it's just stupid because I know how Brett feels. It's a contest. It's not, like whatever. Like, but they just all just like click, click, click. Oh, 1 point here, half point there, 2 points here, click, click, click. Like no thought to like doing the opposite of what people are doing, actually trying to win, etc. Like it's really dumb. But
Playing for 50th.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's what these people do. I mean, unless you're in first place, and you're the leader and you have a cushion and people have to catch you, it's a different game. But, these people don't think like that.
I think by the time that people are selecting, the CJ News is going to be official and this line is going to be reflective of what we're seeing in the contest. That being said, I did not have a strong opinion on the Titans. Wow. I guess I am tied with Mo at a 3 of 15 in taking 5.5 points with Mo's boy, washed ass Ryan Tannehill.
Is it Ryan? I think it's going to be Will Levis.
Is it back to Levis?
He practiced, so I would say favored.
Wow, that's gross.
How can you have a take on this game? We don't know who's playing quarterback for either one of these teams.
Yeah.
I mean, CJ is going to play, I think, but
probably
there's a bunch of injuries on the Texans defense. That was honestly the only thing that I think the line moved to where it's supposed to be with CJ in. So to me, it probably should be 5.5. And the only thing, the tiebreaker for me was just those Texans injuries. There's like injuries at every level of their defense or something. So I don't know. Maybe they just allow a lot of points again. This unit doesn't really inspire you in the best of times. So close one, but fair line, I thought.
How bad was the pick? Brett just jumped backwards. How bad was the pick?
I mean, every Simeon throw should be picked
No
off.
No pick. Almost picked, but no pick. I mean, the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl.
Why
I
do the
don't
Jets
understand.
have 5 wins? Somebody explain it to me. How did we blow this tankathon? What an idiotic
I was trying to
team.
figure out earlier this game, like why Garrett Wilson's even on the field. Like why?
We've been discussing this in the Jets Discord. Why did Breece Hall get 30 fucking touches last week? This guy's coming off of an ACL. Why are we blowing the tread off the tire in meaningless December games that are costing us draft depth?
I would think a running back probably views his career a little bit differently. Like Garrett Wilson knows he's a star wide receiver. He ain't going anywhere. Ain't nothing happening with a year off, whatever. Bro, just go chill. You don't need this crap right now. Like, what are you doing? You don't, unless he's got some sort of bonuses for like receptions or something. I have no idea, but still, who cares?
On their rookie scale, so probably unlikely. DP, you think that the contest has the same intestinal fortitude as the collective. You think that people in this contest, not named Gridiron Gamble, are going to click Panthers plus 6.5 because you're laying the 6.5 with potentially CJ Beathard.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a number people aren't going to want to lay with this Jaguars team. They look bad. Is Trevor Lawrence going to play? I mean, he looks like an idiot out there when he plays right now. Like, they don't really have weapons that are working right now. I mean, I have no idea. Maybe, but
I think Donnie's right.
But it's also like, yes, but then to take the other side, you have to click the Carolina Panthers. So, that's obviously a hard part. So, honestly, this was one of the first games I wrote down and it was like at the top and I kept just moving it down for that reason. Cause I'm like, well, people aren't really going to click the friggin' Panthers, are they? I mean, maybe if the Panthers are getting a full touchdown, you'd be a little bit more inclined. Well, yeah, but you're people aren't you. You said it. This contest.
And I'm a coward too.
This is probably ultimately going to be a staple.
Coward. I stared at this. I was like, this has to be in the top 5, but then I kept moving it down. It's bubbling. Brett, Mo did the absolute right thing. Mo, take it away with our Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I'll say I think Donnie might be right. You have a Panthers team. Well, first of all, Donnie might be right in the most obvious way, which is if CJ Beathard plays, then Panthers are probably going to be a top 5 pick because this is going to close like 4.5. So it might be like 4. So I think like in that sense, maybe people that are at the top of the contest that are somehow listening to this probably don't click Panthers. But if you like money, I think Panthers is probably a good play. You have a Jags offense that this is Rich's rule of slot merchants. Calvin Ridley is a fake receiver. He's only good in the slot. He is awful when he has to line up outside. Multiple games recently after Zay Jones, people just think like, okay, Zay Jones is just a random guy.
I've been saying it all year. Zay Jones literally unlocks the offense.
He can line up outside, and so can Kirk, and just Ridley when he has to play outside. Dude, he's had multiple games with like double-digit targets and like 50, 60 yards. He's so inefficient. And even like if you look at his box score last week, it looks like he had a decent game. He had like 6 for 90 or something. This was all in garbage time. They were down 20, and then he started catching passes, including that touchdown. Like, he was doing nothing until they got buried. So we've yet to see Calvin Ridley be able to do anything from the outside in a competitive football game. And so you have a broken receiving core, basically, is what I'm getting at. And then you have Trevor Lawrence, who already has a sprained ankle that probably isn't 100%. Like, this type of injury is often a multi-week injury, especially if you're not a quarterback. And then you just add a shoulder sprain now. Like, this guy is a mess at this point. This is like Derek Carr when he tried going out there against the Vikings, and they were buried by 20 in the first quarter because they had a quarterback without any working limbs. I mean, I don't know, man. I just think the Jags can't be laying this many points with this messed up offense. And Carolina's actually playing halfway reasonable football. This is like, their defense has been better than the Jags for the past couple months. Like, literally. I mean, it's a unit that I think I was too high on in the preseason, but they're playing okay, and Bryce Young actually looked like a real quarterback last week. My only concern is just if the Jags pass rush is getting home, he might look like a broken shell of a man again, like he has for much of the season when he's been under pressure, because he takes a lot of... Dude, he takes some of the worst sacks you've seen all year. I mean, he had one on the edge last week that I thought was about as bad. Like, you can see the rusher coming at you. Like, just throw the ball, and he still just gets sacked. It's mind-numbing to watch, but I can't imagine the Jags laying this number unless Trevor Lawrence is playing something like his normal self. If this is Beathard, this is way too high. If this is shell of Trevor Lawrence, this is too high. And if this is actually Trevor Lawrence, then I still think this is like probably not that far off where it would be right now in the contest. So a lot of value on the Panthers, I think. I think there was a 7 available earlier this week, and maybe 6.5 keeps some people off it. But yeah, I do think it'll be popular.
I tailed you on 7.
You can add a concussion to that litany of injuries a few weeks ago, and there's some good data coming out these last couple of years that the first came back from a concussion, especially at quarterback. Production dips, which is another reason, and I'm glad I remembered one of the reasons why I clicked the Titans, because even though CJ Stroud is back, we have seen a dip in production post-concussion in the first weeks back on the field. Brett, put a pin on this contest. Panthers back in your top 5.
No, I mean, you guys hit it. What are the chances that Lawrence plays?
He's one of those, right? I think he's a franchise player that has the ability to call his own number. So if he is comfortable going out there and playing pro football, he will be out there, even if it is probably to the detriment.
I feel like he's probably going to play then. But how bad is he going to be, though? That's the thing. I kind of want Lawrence to play. What did I miss?
What just happened?
Flacco with one of the dumbest things I think I've ever seen.
It
was like a triple pump.
How did triple pump fake, and he still bats it in the air and
he still threw it and hit the guy.
Oh, there's the over.
I mean, he literally triple pumped.
I spike it at his feet.
That was one of the special plays of the year.
I can't wait to see this. One of the first Jets games all year that I'm not laying odds on as it happens. And I'm kind of glad.
We're trying to sweat in a same game parlay for Chris over here. That was brutal. He hit all of his legs already except Browns by 14. He already got all of his touchdowns in because of that ridiculous first quarter.
DP's last lone wolf, something Jarrett Hall is laying points in pro football. Vikings -2 hosting the Green Bay Packers. I mean, DP, this is for sure leverage because there are not people that are going to go to their app or go to a kiosk and put a point on Jared Hall as a favorite in pro football.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of ones. You know, I mean, it's just some 1.5. So I even see a pick out there. So like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is pretty low overall for me because I feel like there's a lot of.
It should be really high if you want leverage, I think.
See, I don't know because I feel like there's a lot of narrative out there that this is a must-win game for the Vikings and they're bringing in the rookie that has some promise to get the job done and blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay,
these same people were saying this about Nick Mullins the last month. They just gotta get Mullins.
But like, I feel like being in this contest, you get to like week 16, 17 now, also week 18 included, like people look at like who's it needs to win the games. Like whose is it most important to, and they're more motivated than the other guy playing for $10 million on the other side of the field. Like, you know, we know how this goes. Like, you know, these NFL teams, they don't ever like really lay down. Like ever, you know, the players are always going to play and play and play because their jobs are riding on this stuff, right? So, you know, yeah, this can be a must-win game for the Vikings, but okay, the Packers don't want to win this game too. Like, I mean, so I don't know. That's what kept me from putting it a lot higher overall.
Brett, you're the highest on the Packers, bubbling your card. You're laughing. They bubbled your card.
Yeah, because this is just wrong team favored. Like,
Yeah.
this line is it's
Stupid.
just bad.
This line is stupid.
It's just a bad line. If it was true leverage season, I would for sure be with Dottie. But again, you got to show me that we have something to play for. Otherwise, I'm just going to click sides that I think are going to win.
I mean,
more
the
often than
Packers are like one of the teaser legs of the century. You get Packers plus
Yeah.
8? What in the world? Who's hanging? What are these books doing hanging this number? I truly am.
not. They didn't post this before the Hall news either, did they?
Has the line even moved though?
I'm seeing pick.
This is one of those where I don't think the computers are showing much of a change between something Mullins and something Hall.
This is rule of threshold. That's what this is.
You put the exclamation point on my sentence because the computers cannot regress for below threshold play at quarterback. So if this dude does not meet the threshold, if this dude thinks again that he could just run forward past NFL players where he got his brain splattered in Atlanta, then the Vikings are going to be in a whole world of trouble in this contest. We read ODBs for that game. I will never forget this gentleman thinking that he could just outrun NFL players and then running into a brick wall at full speed. Mo, your lone wolf in the top 5. Bill Belichick. Plus 13.
Am I
with
lone
the
wolf
Patriots.
on this? You guys really think the Bills are just going to run away from somebody? They come out and pound the rock now. This is rule of coaches' numbers. You need coaches' numbers on this one. Are the Bills going to come throw the ball? Because they keep coming out and Josh Allen is throwing 15 passes a game. If they're going to come out and pound the rock, there's no way they're covering 13 against this Patriots team. They're elite against the run. Where's Stephon Diggs? Is he going to do something? This guy is a bum.
He's on a milk carton somewhere. Brett, very strong head nod here. I don't even know if you're the highest opinion on this game, but this is your beloved Buffalo Bills, so take it away. You're laying the wood with them.
The Bills can do whatever they want. If they have success running the football, they're going to run it all day, and they have been. So why stop? If they have to throw the football in this game, they're going to throw the football. This is rule of circled. They lost to the Patriots already this year, and circle the wagons, man. There's no way the Bills lose this game, and they're going to use this to send a message. They're not looking ahead to Miami next week. They're going for blood in this game and instill the fear in the rest of the conference. And this is a great spot to fade the Pats here, too, after the hilarious victory over Denver last week. Like, I think the Bills just roll in this game.
Listen to Brett circling wagons, going out for blood. The Brett the Bills fan is here. He's hooking it in all week. Let's go.
I mean, what's not to be excited about right now? This is the best they've played in I don't even know how long. So, and like everything's lined up for us. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go, man.
Peaking at the right time. Yeah.
I've never been less confident in the future than right now. that Brett just said all that. Now I know it's not going to, because it's the Bills.
I'm gonna lose this week. Now watch.
Oh man, there's just a part of me that I picked the Bills, but it's my very last pick. There's just something scratching in the back of my head where Bill is going to go out on a win streak here. I just he's going to make it difficult on Kraft to fire him, and I think this week might be part of that. So
he's already made it difficult.
Winning games with something Zeppeli.
He gets paid way too much effing money. Like what? I mean, what?
I also think that
the whole thing is stupid.
think that the Patriots might be sneaky popular this week because this is rule of everybody picked.
I think the Patriots are definitely going to be popular.
Everybody picked.
Who's going to lay 13 with this Bills team?
Everybody picked the Broncos last week and got it stuffed in their face. So they're then going to turn around and say, well, if the Patriots can do that as +6 against the Broncos, what can they do as +13 in this spot? Derp. And might just click New England in this spot. Lone Wolves, I've got the Raiders. Brett's got the Bears, Cowboys, and Ravens. DP has the Texans, Jags, and Vikings. And Mo has the Patriots. Time for the Week 17 card. Next. Brett 4-1 last week. Time to reveal which Lone Wolf you have as your top pick.
I got Justin Fields and them boys in Chicago.
Fields back.
Fading the Falcons.
Fields back on the card as a favorite. Back-to-back weeks. Bears and Fields on the card as favorites, and rule of flip-flopping on the Atlanta Falcons. Love it. Mo, you're up next. You're going to give us a dog. Who do we got?
Let me double check, because you told me my pick was changed,
Your pick was sniped by the collective. A very strong consensus this week by the collective.
Okay. Unfortunately for me and my heart, I'm fading the Chiefs with the Cincinnati Bengals +7. This is one where I don't think the Chiefs should be laying 7 here, even though I do think this is a good matchup for the Chiefs. I mean, you have a team in the Bengals that is very passing oriented, and you have a Chiefs team that just eats opposing passing games, and you have an absolutely dreadful Bengals defense that does even this pathetic version of the Chiefs offense is going to score some points. I like the over here because I just think both teams are going to score. But yeah, I just can't lay this much with the Chiefs when they're just a plodding unit that's just looking to, win. The Chiefs are trying to win 20-17, dude. I just can't. Let's go. I just cannot get behind the Chiefs laying this, especially with a massive rest disadvantage here. They played on Monday, and the Bengals played on Saturday, I believe. So extra time for Lou Anarumo to prepare here. And he's just a coach that has done a really good job against Andy Reid over the years. I mean, even when the Chiefs had a really strong game against the Bengals... Even when the Chiefs had a really strong game against the Bengals in last year's playoffs, it wasn't because the offense was just like killing it. They scored 23 points, so I feel pretty good about them.
What's going on with the line here? Because, again, I was hanging out with Kangaroos a couple days ago and on a flight for half a day, so I'm seeing 6.5. What has the action been to get it to 6.5?
I think it just dipped earlier today for the first time. It had been hanging 7 all week.
There you go. I'm up next. I have that was a consensus pick, by the way. I have the second consensus pick on the card. Well, let me go to DP first. DP, are you worried about this game? You had this quite low.
Wait, what?
Bengals.
The Bengals?
The Bungles.
I mean, my worry is just that
people see 7.
One, I don't know what. I mean, yeah, people will see 7, and it's 7 against a Chiefs team that I think the narrative now is like this team is just not that good. Like they just can't. They can't really do it on offense. For as good as Mahomes is, like he doesn't have the weapons around him. So I think there's that aspect of it. And then on the other side, like if I wanted to take the Chiefs or whatever, or worry about the Bengals covering here, it's the Bengals defense is pretty atrocious. So like if you're going to get right against a team, I mean, why not get right against a team that's got a bad secondary and one of their star players is talking shit all week? I mean, it's like,
So I want to talk about that real quick. Isn't that a hint that Jamar Chase is for sure going? He wouldn't be running his mouth if he was not playing, right?
I feel like Jamar Chase is 1 going to go and 2 going to go off. Because, I feel like he's the type of dude who, talks his crap and then actually backs it up on the field. A lot of people talk their crap and then look like idiots on Sunday. I don't think Jamar Chase is that guy. I feel like he's going to go out there and, just be like, listen, man, I want the ball. That Cardinals game. Remember that Cardinals game? Give me the ball every freaking play. Every play. Let's go.
Your boy Quinnen is upset, Richard.
I was going to say, why does this say that Flacco has 303 touchdowns in the How can this staff
Quinnen is taking it personally.
He just had 7 seconds to throw the ball.
How
and then they scored a
can
touchdown.
this staff survive this season? It's a joke. Get your head out of your ass, Woody Johnson. I watched a game last week. We didn't have Rodgers. Derp. Can't. I watched a game last week where who was it? It was Browning and some other hack. And Rudolph. Browning and Rudolph had 770 yards of offense. Okay? So
this team that they're playing is an example. This team had Deshaun Watson, who everyone thought was going to be great. They sucked all year, and they went out and got the corpse of Joe Flacco off his couch, and now they're just going to win the Super Bowl. Figure it out, New York.
No
honestly.
Nick Chubb, no Amari Cooper today.
Seriously.
No tackles.
Figure it out.
No tackles. No
Similar team where their strength is the defense. The strength is the defense for Cleveland. Strength is the defense for the Jets. Figure it out. I mean, come on.
It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.
But going back to this other game, I think Donnie's right, though, real quick, about the Chiefs, the Bengals, I think they're the fish side for sure.
All right, we go to my pick, consensus pick. The market is telling me that Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell are the same quarterback. And that's stupid. Very, very stupid. Brissett is worth a little bit of a bump, in my opinion. Sleepy spot for the Niners. I know they lost last week against the Ravens, but the NFC is all but wrapped up. Got to go all the way across the country, and you just need to win the football game. You don't need to win by margin. You don't need to win by 13 or more points in order for it to have an impact on your season. So I got a lot to like here. We've also seen this Niners secondary get shredded on multiple occasions, and now we have a competent quarterback with very good weapons who, if they're put in a situation where they need to come back when trailing, they will be able to do so. So give me Brissett, stick it and pick it. Mo's top 5, Brett's top 5. Once again, DP, you are the lowest. Any fears on Brisket and them boys?
I mean, the 49ers are probably just going to win by 30. Every time we want to take the other side, they just win by 30 somehow. So, yeah, I mean, that's the fear.
And every time we back the commies, they lose by 30.
Yes. So they could be getting 20 points and it doesn't matter.
Crossing the streams. Don't cross the streams. All right, DP's pick is interesting because, as we discussed, one of Brett's Lone Wolves was one of his top 2 picks, and DP's got the other side at his numero uno.
Yeah. Silver and blue, through and through, baby. Let's go.
Through.
Fine.
They just won a game with 62 passing yards. That screams fade to me, but have your fun.
Something Jared Goff. Okay, so the collective pick is the Carolina Panthers, plus 6.5 against the Jaguars. But there is a very strong consensus for 2 other games. The Giants plus 5.5, which is just, Giants home favorites, or home dogs, is like a collective auto check. Every time the Giants are home dogs above a field goal, I feel like we muster a consensus opinion on them.
Home dog with Tyrod.
And then, this just, that checks literally every GG box. And then this one, I think, is a GG spectacle as well. Broncos -3.5 at home against the Chargers. We are lining up to lay points with something Stidham because we know that the zombie Chargers gave it their all last week in a prime time spot for the holidays, and now they are about as 1-2-3 Cancun as it can be. And this is a Broncos team with Stidham probably trying to prove something, a guy handpicked by Peyton to run this system, I think could really go out and absolutely ball for Denver. So those are two consensus picks that we are very interested in. I'll go across the board, and DP, you have the highest interest on those G's, and I could tell from your voice about how excited you are.
I mean, I think Tyrod's a much better fit for this offense. Like, I mean, the DeVito story is another one of those cute stories, but like, I mean, come on. I mean, the guy can't complete a forward pass. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is ridiculous, right? At least Tyrod, like, gives them a chance against a team that I feel like is also a bit of a market darling. Like, people, like, really like the Rams. I feel like they can get got a little bit here. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a tough spot for the Rams overall. They got to go across the country, big road favorites, playing outside here. Like, I mean, come on. The Giants can get up for this for sure.
All right, so the card: Panthers, Commanders, Bears, Lions, and Bengals. We got to talk Sean Perry, R.I.P. in Circa Survivor, one of the 6 entries to go dust on the Denver Broncos, who, if you are a fan of Gridiron Gamble, we were sitting here telling you, the words came out of Mo's mouth, maybe you just don't take Denver this season. What happened? The New England Patriots win outright in Mile High, and poof goes a lot of equity for those 6 souls in Survivor. They nearly, I'm assuming they're going to chop. They nearly were forced to chop by all selecting the Eagles on the Christmas Island slate, but they did end up winning against the Giants. Is there an update on a chop? Anything? Any Survivor info? Anything, Mo? Take it away.
I haven't seen anything, but yeah, I think we can all only assume that there was a chop and maybe only a little left to play for. I don't know. But yeah, everyone reportedly wanted to chop. Sean Perry didn't. He got punished, which, I would be sad about if his name wasn't Sean Perry. But because, you want people to have a little heart, right? But I would say it makes sense for sure to chop at this point. It's a lot of money. Even we would probably have to think about it at this point, since that's a lot of money, even split up 4 ways now. So, yeah, I get it. But I have to say that, like, picking the side that everyone's going to take when it's that dangerous of a side, he kind of deserved to go bust, right? I mean, so did everyone else, I think. I get that you don't want to go bust, and you're like, okay, this is the biggest favorite I have left. This makes sense. But Denver stinks. I mean, they are just not good. And this was always in play.
In the Discord, didn't we say that 2 of the entrants that did survive Week 16 could have selected Denver and didn't? I believe that's one of the things that was floating around in our Discord. 2 heroes doing the absolute right thing. Maybe they listened. Maybe they were tuned in.
There's one entrant left who misclicked. It's Thanksgiving Day. He thought he was picking the Lions and took the Packers instead. And here we are. He's 1 of 4 left.
These are the people.
That's amazing.
We're never going to win this
contest. How could we possibly compete?
This is impossible.
How could we compete?
It's
impossible.
So he has a proxy, but he was in Vegas that weekend and did it on the app and screwed up and picked the wrong side, and it worked out for him. So this is
how many margaritas?
Yeah, how many of those stupid grenade drinks was he walking down the strip, slurping down before he made that incorrect choice? All right, what are the quarterbacks we got? We got Brisket, we got Bryce, we got Justin, we got Goff. And we got Browning. Solid crop.
One of our better quarterback cards, I feel like.
Not as bad as last week.
I'll spectacular. And we went 4-1.
And we went 4-1, baby. Let's go.
Eat your heart out, ODB. All right. Follow these guys on Twitter at Donnie _ Peters at Monowara, NUWWARAH, and at Brett Colson, COLLSON. I'm at Rich T. Ryan. Until next week, last one of the season, best of luck in your betting ventures. Peace out.